Ladies and gentlemen, today is another big elite heat. We're churning out these banger elite heats, and today I'm excited for this. It's going to be old school elite heat. This is 2021 elite heat-esque, Kevin. We're going to be breaking down the 2023 Wrestling Observer Awards. That's going to be the main thing we do.
You mean the AEW Awards?
The 2023 AEW Observer Awards. Sorry, excuse me. We'll get to that. But first, there's a couple of things we want to go over, which are a bit relevant. So, Kevin, I'll throw the ball over to you. I'll flick a little bounce pass. Start us off. What are we going to talk about?
First of all, I just want to say we are like AEW Dynamite. Every episode of Elite Heat is a bigger and better show than the last one, pal. And we do it for these fans. Got to get that out the way. Now, since it is the AEW Awards show, we're breaking down the AEW Observer 2022 Awards. We might as well talk about what is going to be a shoo-in for AEW Awards pay-per-view of the year, which is Revolution 2023. I mean, we're going to have Match of the Year, pay-per-view of the year. Tony Khan is already going to cement himself as a Booker of the Year for 2023 with this show. I mean, well, really all you need to know, since there's no point in predicting the whole show, that by the time you guys hear this podcast, Bryan Danielson is champion. I mean, you live in Australia. You live in the future. You already know what's going to happen. Bryan Danielson's already AEW champion. CM Punk came back. And we're getting CM Punk and FTR versus Kenny Omega and the Bucks, pal.
Pal, my anticipation is just through the roof for that Double or Nothing show in a few months. That Revolution show, as you say, I live in the future. I saw it. Great 60-minute Iron Man match. It's a shoe-in for number 5 in the Match of the Year rankings for the 2024 AEW Observer Awards. The show, Phil Brooks came out at the end, Kevin. Oh my gosh, his beard isn't grey anymore. Wow. What a pay-per-view, pal.
Phenomenal. I mean, it was absolutely phenomenal. So what was it like, pal, since you already saw the show?
Oh, really good. Classic AEW. Every match went for 15 minutes on the show. The timings were just poor. Every match had to go for 15 to 20 minutes. The elite match, there was some nice botching in there with the House of Black. The Chris Jericho Ricky Starks match, I had a bathroom break because there's no build. You know, we had John Moxley and Hangman Page. John Moxley was blading again, the usual. And that fatal 4-way tag match. Why was I watching the Gun Club beating up Jeff Jarrett? I don't get it. This is supposed to be AEW. It's supposed to be the future of wrestling. I'm watching these Billy Gunn's cousins and a bunch of, old men. I don't know, Kevin, but yeah, good show. Not much else to talk about. People don't care to listen to us analyze Revolution, pal. I'll throw it back to you.
Yeah, it's hilarious how the show is called Revolution, but Jeff Jarrett's on the card. I digress. Yes. Nevertheless. So, WrestleMania season is upon us. We're deep. We're in the middle. We're deep in the middle of WrestleMania season. And it's the best time of year for us as wrestling fans and wrestling media personalities, pal, because we are legitimate, credible media personalities, pal.
100%.
Brock Lesnar versus Omos. Everyone seems to think that Vincent Kennedy McMahon has booked that match. And what we do know about Brock Lesnar, which is not a lot as wrestling fans, he seems to only want to work with Vince. Apparently, there was rumors that he walked out when Vince McMahon retired. And we know he ended up coming back to his SummerSlam and doing matches in Saudi Arabia. And he's done, 3 pay-per-views? He's going to do 3 pay-per-views already in 2023? So, I don't know. I don't know how true it is. But do you think there's a real possibility that Vince McMahon is pulling the strings behind the scenes with Brock Lesnar's match, at least?
Probably. Yeah. I think that's a very real possibility. I mean, we discussed this when Triple H took over, like how big name part-timers, namely Brock being the big one, but your Cenas, your Rocks, those types, how much Triple H being in charge will influence either whether they compete or their opinion on creative. Because, Kevin, I have no doubt in my mind, if Triple H has the pen in hand, it's Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. I have no doubt in my mind of how they want to portray Gunther in these big-time spots after what we saw at the Royal Rumble. If Triple H was 100% in control of Brock Lesnar creatively, that's what would have happened at WrestleMania.
Yeah, do you think that match was pitched?
Oh, I 100% believe Triple H pitched that. I have no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. But Kevin, we're getting Brock and Omos. So, I'm sure all the 8-year-olds in India are thrilled about that, Kevin. Where's your excitement level for that match, pal?
Hey, I'm here for it. I want to see Brock Lesnar throw around a 7-foot-tall giant. That's just me. I want to see Omos take the, 4 or 5 suplexes. I want to see Brock take it to Suplex City, pal. Shoot me. This is what it is. I like it.
Pal, don't you feel bad that the evil, misogynistic Vince McMahon booked this match? How's that make you feel?
Makes me feel very empty inside.
Kevin, just remember, if the show gives you something you enjoy, Triple H booked it. If the show gives you something you don't enjoy, Vince McMahon booked it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and whether it's Triple H or whoever's dealing with Brock Lesnar, which I assume is Triple H dealing with him directly, who is going to tell Brock Lesnar that he can't work with Omos? If Triple H is like, hey, pal, I want you to work with Gunther, and Brock's like, no, I want to work with Omos, I don't think even Triple H is going to tell Brock Lesnar who he can work with. Is that fair?
100%. But I think there was the report where Brock Lesnar and Bray Wyatt, a match for them at WrestleMania was pitched, and Brock nixed it. He just said no.
Yeah, good. Nobody wants to see that.
Brock was like, I don't need Wyndham Rotunda doing the Muscle Man dance and the Firefly Funhouse and my reputation taking a hit because of that match. I don't need that.
Yeah, we need 7.5 weeks of segments where Bray Wyatt's cutting promos and Brock is just standing there in the ring, pretending to be scared?
Kevin, that would have been bad in 2016 when they were building up to it. It would have been even worse in 2023. I mean, you saw the Muscle Man dance segment from this past week's episode of Raw with Bray Wyatt and Lashley.
Yeah,
that was some people were praising that. I was watching it thinking, this just is not objectively not good television. Even me as an 8-year-old, I would not have enjoyed this. I can safely say, and that's when I enjoyed near enough everything. Bray Wyatt doing the Muscle Man dance to Lashley. It's like, bro, come on now.
Yeah, it's a step back when you think about where Bobby Lashley was just 2 years ago, going into WrestleMania 37. He was in the WWE Championship picture, and now here he is watching Wyndham Rotunda do the Muscle Man dance on him. Bobby Lashley deserves better, pal. And shout out to Brock Lesnar for using his creative control to not allow himself to have a match with Bray Wyatt. I mean, this is something that we could celebrate, right? It's like when John Cena used his creative control to bury the Nexus. Shout out to Brock Lesnar. What a good man. Not allowing himself to have a match with Wyndham Rotunda. Saving us all the tears.
It would have been so bad. But yeah, instead, Bobby Lashley, who, as you said, 2 years ago, the Hurt Business was one of the hottest acts in the company, doing some amazing work, a genuinely really good stable. Lashley's the WWE champion. He's setting race relations forward 10 years with how good he is as a champion, and representation of African American, a black champion. He's doing incredible work, Kevin. Some of the best stuff we've seen. And now he's looking at the Titantron as Wyndham Rotunda is shimmying, doing the Muscle Man dance.
Oh, Kevin, that's so funny. Doesn't it give you Lashley's sister vibes?
Just about. I mean, it makes when Lashley was doing segments, literally sleeping with Lana as Rusev was in the ring crying, it makes that look like great television by comparison.
Wow.
It's just, Kevin, this is, for WrestleMania, this is going to be the bathroom break. You can book it in now. I don't need to see, and we don't need to see, and all the listeners of Elite Heat don't need to see Bobby Lashley in a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match against Wyndham. Wyndham shimmying, puppets flexing at Lashley. Lashley going to punch puppets, and the puppet vanishes. Lashley looking confused, with MVP screaming at puppets. You got Wyndham Rotunda goes missing, and then he shows up, and he's a bodybuilder. Then he vanishes, and he's not a bodybuilder. And then there's a puppet dancing, and that's long-term storytelling because Kevin, 9 years ago, in a segment they did in a vignette, they said a line about bodybuilding and strength in the build to a match against Roman Reigns, and now he's saying, Kevin, it's crap. It's rubbish. Lashley is being wasted watching Wyndham do the Muscle Man dance. Good on Brock Lesnar for exercising creative control. This is the time to exercise creative control. Unlike in AEW, as we'll discuss, when wrestlers literally go, I want to wrestle this guy, and then they go out and they blade against each other and have a poor match. Kevin, good on Brock Lesnar, pal. That's my only take here.
Yeah, you mentioned the Bobby Lashley and Lana and Rusev love triangle. Did art imitate life? Like, did Bobby Lashley sleep with somebody's wife backstage? Like, what did he do to deserve this, pal? And answer this question: What did Wyndham Rotunda do to be the prize for the winner of the Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar match? Can you answer that question? Why Wyndham Rotunda is the prize? Why Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar are fighting over Wyndham Rotunda's affection?
Yeah, as you said so perfectly in our Elimination Chamber review, these two primal athletes fighting for the right to face Wyndham Rotunda. Are you kidding me, bro?
Yeah, I just had to bring that back. Can you put some logic behind this for the great listeners? I know I'm asking you to do a lot when involving this content, but can you try to make it make sense?
I know, yeah, and I'm a talented wrestling booker, wrestling mind. It is a challenge, but I'll give you this, Kevin. Back in the day, there used to be the World Wrestling Federation Championship used to be everything. You'd want to win the belt, and if you weren't trying to win that title, not much meant anything. Well, Kevin, Bray Wyatt, he's had a career as the Fiend. He's wrestled as just Bray Wyatt, cutting scary promos. And Kevin, I guess over the course of wrestling history, last 15, 20, 30, 40 years, we're now reduced to a top prize at WrestleMania being Bray Wyatt. Kevin, is Bray Wyatt now the World Heavyweight Championship? I guess because there's no second title. Reigns holds the world title, so I guess the number 2 prize is Bray Wyatt. Is that maybe what this is?
Yeah, he's the workhorse title, pal.
The workhorse title. Now, the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match, the Mountain Dew Blacks match, the Funhouse match.
Is that a real
Bray.
thing? You've said this many times. Is this really going to be a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match?
I hope so. I don't even know who said that to me. I think it was someone's just joking, but I think WWE have a sponsorship or something with Cinnamon Toast. I hope they do, because that'd be hilarious. Imagine, Brock Lesnar, not Brock, Bobby Lashley doing a spot with Cinnamon Toast, and then the Cinnamon Toast goes missing. And Wyndham's like doing the muscle man dance in his face, and he vanishes again. Oh, peekaboo! It's Wyndham, pal.
Wow, that's real. Yeah, there might actually be a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. So what is the basis of this match going to be? Is Bobby Lashley going to be backstage eating Cinnamon Toast Crunch like 2 weeks out before Raw? And Bray Wyatt and Uncle Howdy are going to walk up to Bobby Lashley as he's chowing down on some delicious Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And Wyndham Rotunda is going to knock the bowl out of Bobby Lashley's hand. And like, is that going to be the line that went too far? And Wyndham Rotunda threw down Bobby Lashley's Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and now that makes the match official. That pushes Mr. Lashley over the edge, pal.
Kevin, I'll make this take now. I'm done with Bray Wyatt. He came back and it was like emotional. He cut a really good personal promo or two, talking about overcoming depression, overcoming obstacles and mental health and all this. It was awesome. But oh my God, Kevin, the Pitch Black match, the Mountain Dew Black match, the Rumble against LA Knight, fine. Really, Kevin, a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match? I think it's not a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. Whatever they're doing with Bobby Lashley right now, no. Stop. Kevin, I'm listening to you discuss the potential ins and outs of a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match. I'm thinking this sounds like something they do in CYN or NWA, which are apparently better promotions than WWE, which we'll get to, but it's just ridiculous. It's a joke, Kevin.
Absolutely.
Get this guy off my screen. I'm done.
Hey, you opened up a whole other can of worms that we could go into real quick. Has Bray Wyatt's return already soured? Are we back at the same boat where we were in like mid-2021 or early 2021? Where everybody was just like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this Bray Wyatt guy? Is it over already? Like, he's only been back, what, for like 6 months?
Yeah. He returned in September last year, Kevin, and that's been, 6 months. So, yeah. Kevin, I'll throw a question to you. How would you rate Bray Wyatt's return run here? We've had 6 months. He's had a storyline with LA Knight. He was off TV for a few weeks. He's now feuding with Lashley. He cut a few good promos at the start. What's your brutally honest thoughts? Kevin, talk. Just give us your review of his return.
I'd probably give it like a C. Is probably where I would land. It's just there. Some people like it. Most people seem to be kind of over it. It was cool at first. It was a big pop, but I think the problem with Bray Wyatt is the stories, the matches. For one, the matches are gimmicky. We know he can't go in there and have like a work rate classic like Gunther or Ricochet or somebody like that. But I mean, he could at least try. Like, do we have to get every time Bray Wyatt's in the ring, like, yeah, he's gonna have a match? Does it have to be like some maniacal, weird stipulation? It's all like swamp matches. We saw just these weird matches with Randy Orton, with like maggots on the screen, and then we had the pitch black match with Eli Drake. I don't know. Like, if we just get like a normal wrestling match with him, is that possible? That'd probably be my take.
Bray Wyatt's style of storytelling, it's Cody Rhodes, but on LSD. So you know how we talked about with Cody Rhodes and AEW, and Cody Rhodes generally, his storytelling, it's over the top. It's dramatic. It's very Shakespearean. There's monologues, crying. Cody stands out in that regard. Well, Bray Wyatt's storytelling stands out in its own regard. It's over the top. It's quite dramatic. There's a lot to it. Only it's weird, unnecessary, strange. Looks like someone who wrote it was on an acid trip during it. And it's just, most of the time, a mess. There's a lot of thought that goes into this, clearly. And if you understand the exact nuances, maybe it's a masterpiece. But as someone who just watches Raw, watches SmackDown, watches the pay-per-views, I watch the Bray Wyatt segment and go, just no. Get this off my screen. This is, no. Like, is that fair?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, it is. Absolutely. I think people just don't have the attention span to sit there and watch an 8-week long build-up for the sake of just having it. Like, why is Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt, why do they hate each other? We don't really know. We see the Muscle Man segment with Bray Wyatt, and yeah, some people liked it, like we said, but I don't know, just I would like to see it get to the point. And there really is no point right now to Bobby Lashley and Bray Wyatt.
Correct. I think we'll leave it there. Hopefully in a month's time, come WrestleMania, Kevin will be amped, will be excited to watch Lashley and Bray in a Cinnamon Toast Crunch match, but look, wait to be seen. So, Kevin, is there anything else you want to discuss before we get into our, I guess, main item on the agenda?
No, I'm ready to roast the 2022 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. I can't wait, pal. I can't wait anymore. Let's just do it.
Let's do it. Now, for starters, I want to say, disclaimer, because every time you discuss the Wrestling Observer Awards, you get the same couple of comments and replies. Dave Meltzer didn't pick these awards. Brian Alvarez didn't pick. We know. We're aware. We know these subscribers, Kevin, vote on these awards.
Right.
But who are these subscribers listening to as the source of their wrestling knowledge and their wrestling opinion? Who are they paying to listen to tell them what to think? Dave Meltzer, Brian Alvarez, Mike Sembravivi, any guests they have? Kevin, yeah, we just to all the listeners who might be thinking, well, it's not Dave Meltzer, he doesn't pick them. We know. Just want to address that. So, Kevin, over to you. Where do you want to start? Hit us with something.
Let's start out hot. Let's start with the most prestigious award, or the most prestigious category in all of the awards. The Wrestling Observer Newsletter 2022 Wrestler of the Year. I'll ask you, pal, who do you think won this award?
Well, I mean, you look at Wrestler of the Year, I'd give it to Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins.
Right.
Because Seth Rollins proved he can have a great story and a compelling match with anyone. That Cody stuff was brilliant. He even made, I believe, at WrestleMania 38, yeah? He wrestled Cody. I mean, Rollins generally was excellent all year. Roman was champion all year. Granted, he didn't work as much in 2022, so I understand if you put Roman second. And then if I'm looking at AEW, CM Punk was pretty good for about 6 months before he got injured. I mean, Moxley was like consistent for most of the year. I wouldn't say he should win the award. He should maybe be top 5. And MJF maybe should be, top 3 or 4. So, yeah, who won? Who won, Kevin?
Well, I'm sure, as you already know, it's Jon Moxley. Yeah, Jon Moxley won in a very handy fashion. He received 3,100 votes in total, 498 first place votes. Roman Reigns was second, and he received 232 first place votes. So he received a little less than half the first place votes that Moxley received. I mean, this one, there's better hills that we could die on when we're roasting these awards. Moxley was good. Let's just call it like it is. Yeah. Moxley was the face of AEW when Punk was out, both times. He carried AEW in the summer when Punk got injured originally, when he had to relinquish his championship. And then when Punk got injured again, beating up the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega, Moxley came in and he carried the company. And he's the heart and soul of that company in a lot of respects. He's the now. Jericho is like the legend. MJF is like the up-and-coming guy. MJF's transitioning into being the face of that company. 2023 is going to be the year of MJF. 2022 is the year of Moxley. But here's something, though, because you mentioned Seth Rollins, you mentioned MJF, you mentioned Cody, you mentioned Punk. Yeah. None of those guys were in the top 5.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, Will Ospreay came in 3rd.
Okay.
On a Wrestler of the Year panel. Okay. Will Ospreay was 3rd. That's interesting.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you one match that Will Ospreay had. That's just me. Can you tell me any of Will Ospreay's classic matches from 2022? I thought everybody hated the guy. That's what I thought. I thought he was like public enemy number 1 with the internet wrestling fans.
Well, sorry, Kim. Before I answer that, hit me with who was 4 and who was 5, because I mean you mentioned, so obviously MJF wasn't there. Fair enough. Rollins had an exceptional year as the constant WWE. He was involved in storyline of the year, in my opinion, against Cody. He was constant throughout the whole year. He's not there.
It was Okada.
CM Punk wasn't there. Who was 4th and 5th?
Okada was 4th.
Okay.
Yeah, Okada 4th, and Sayuri is 5th.
Sayuri?
I don't know who that is. I'm not even trying to be funny. I don't know who that is.
Obviously better than Seth Rollins doing the best work throughout the whole year in the biggest wrestling company in the world by far. Obviously better. Sayuri, pal.
That is a female wrestler, and she wrestles for Stardom. And she's a shoot boxer, kickboxer, and mixed martial artist.
Okay.
No, she was in the UFC.
Okay. Right. Isn't there a women's wrestling MVP award in this? I'm confused.
Yeah, there is.
Or they just have everyone at one? Okay, sure. Right. Okay, Kevin. There's that. I guess Rollins, MJF, CM Punk, those guys just don't factor in. I guess Moxley wins it because he blades against everyone and his mother. Okay. Cool.
Hey, yeah. I mean, if we're giving this award to the guy, like if this is like an NBA MVP award to the guy that wrestled the most matches, showed up to the most TVs, Moxley would have to be that guy. Out of everybody, he was around full time on American television, and in the main event spotlight, where Seth Rollins was kind of more like a mid card guy.
Yeah, I mean that's as Moxley winning that's as as legitimate as Jokic winning 3 MVPs. But we'll leave it there, Kevin. Let's move to the next award. Let's move on.
All right, let's do a best box office draw.
Okay.
You want any guesses?
Box office, the Reigns or Brock? There shouldn't be a debate here.
Yeah, Reigns won it. Cena came in 2nd, and then Punk was 3rd. Yep. I actually thought Punk would be 2nd. I'm surprised Cena was 2nd.
That is surprising. That wow. Yeah, damn. Okay.
There you go. Yeah. There you go, pal. Let's see. What about the United States / Canada MVP?
Well, you'd think. Once again, Kevin, I explained who I feel that should be, but it would probably be Moxley because he won Wrestler of the Year, you'd assume.
Yeah, Moxley won this in even more dominant fashion. He received triple the votes in 2nd place Roman Reigns. And then, it was Chris Jericho, MJF, and Bryan Danielson. So you kind of see where this is going. My thing is, how is Chris Jericho the 3rd person in this race? Like, what is Chris Jericho doing?
Chris Jericho's where?
3rd. Yeah, Chris Jericho's over MJF and Bryan Danielson. Like, even for AEW, like, if we're doing this as an AEW award, the fact that Chris Jericho's over MJF and Bryan Danielson is ludicrous.
Oh no.
No disrespect to Chris Jericho, we love Chris Jericho. But what did Chris Jericho offer AEW in 2022?
But pal, tag matches involving Sammy Guevara, Claudio, and Bryan Danielson, pal.
I guess so. Like, I'm struggling to even think about. I can't even picture what Jericho was doing. I can't think of anything that Jericho did. Like, I can tell you what MJF and Bryan Danielson did in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris Jericho is third. Like, that's interesting. That's just wow. Okay. How about the best weekly TV show? This one should be promising.
Okay. So I know who votes on these awards. I know what the winner of this award is. It's Dynamite. The Dynamite could be as bad as Monday Night Raw, but because Tony Khan books it, it'll still win this award every year. I understand that. But I assume probably SmackDown should be second, and then maybe I'm trying to think what could be third. To be honest, so I think Dynamite 1, SmackDown 2 is what it should be.
Yeah, that is exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dynamite had 753 first place votes. SmackDown had 104, and Dynamite had 4,000 votes total. SmackDown was second with a little under 2,000. That's interesting.
Right.
That's interesting in its own right. This is another one where I'm not going to die on a hill.
Yeah.
And say, like, oh, SmackDown was that much better than Dynamite, or this is ridiculous.
Mm.
You know, I mean, to me, there's not really, like, a great weekly wrestling TV show. So if AEW, sure, you want to tell me AEW Dynamite was the best weekly show, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm not going to say, oh, yeah, SmackDown in the middle of September with no Roman Reigns is better than Dynamite.
Yeah. But Kevin, one thing I want to say with this award, you look at the top 5, and it just makes me go that there's just really no good quality weekly TV shows in wrestling, or there hardly is. Like, New Japan Strong was 4th, Impact Wrestling was 5th, AEW Rampage finished 3rd. The show that literally got 200,000 or 287,000 viewers the other week, a show that no one's interested in.
I think Miz and Mrs. has more viewers than Rampage.
It does. It literally, Miz and Mrs. was getting 600,000 or 700,000 viewers because of the Raw lead-in a few years ago. Like, there's no debate here. Like, 3 and below are just not even worth discussing. I get why Dynamite wins, just because, especially with this audience. For me, I watch Dynamite, and I'm not interested in most of what's going on. That's just me. I watch SmackDown on the same, in fairness. But yeah, Rampage, Strong, Impact. I couldn't even tell you other shows. That's how non-eventful weekly wrestling TV has become. But
yeah, like that's kind of what it is now. Like, wrestling is just weekly, from a weekly TV show standpoint, it's not captivating. It's just not hitting home the same as it did even like 10 years ago. Which is crazy to say, because Raw wasn't that great 10 years ago, but it was better than pretty much anything we get now.
Give us the Raw Super Show with CM Punk, Brock Lesnar, and Cena as the main event acts, and like the Big Show on there. Like, give us that. That was pretty good in the most part, but nonetheless, Kevin, let's move on to another category.
All right, let's do most overrated. We got to turn this up a little bit, pal.
Okay.
So, any guesses?
Overrated. Sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say, any guesses for who won this one?
Oh, this is where the objectivity of this comes in, because knowing the people who vote on this, it'd probably be Roman Reigns. In my opinion, most overrated, when you look at how much someone gets praised versus their actual output on the show, you can make a very, very valid case for someone like potentially a CM Punk and Omega. I don't know. Some would say like Rollins is over, like Cody, potentially, like people like that. That's who I'd imagine would be given most overrated. So Kevin hits with it.
Yeah, so I'll go in ascending order. So Austin Theory was 5th.
Okay.
I don't see how Austin Theory is the 5th most overrated wrestler. What did he do? He won the U.S. title. He won the Money in the Bank. He came out and said A-Town down out of promo. Like, what did Austin Theory do so wrong?
He was running around the mid card, and everyone on Twitter was saying he sucks. How's he highly rated? What?
Yeah, a heel that people think he sucks.
Great. That's very legitimate, credible number 5. Oh, who's number 4?
CM Punk. CM Punk edged out Austin Theory for 4th with 2 more votes than him.
This is the same CM Punk who, without him, AEW in 2022 wouldn't, for the most part, wouldn't have even been worth watching. That's CM Punk. Okay.
But, like, why is he overrated? Everybody loved him when he returned in 2021, and everybody loved him until, what, the Hangman controversy? The Hangman Page controversy in May? June? Is that when the tide turned on Punk? Like, they're just like, okay, yeah, this guy sucks now because he cut a promo on a Hangman Page that we didn't like.
That's kind of pathetic. Like, how, like, Theory then Punk. Like, really? Okay, nice. Who's 3?
Roman Reigns. None other than Roman Reigns. I have a problem with that. I really do. This is the best guy in a company, in WWE, the biggest wrestling company in the world. And yeah, I mean, you could say what you want about him. You know, I mean, I'm sure there was times where everybody thought Cena was overrated, so it's not just because he's the top guy in WWE doesn't mean he's not overrated. But this is not the same Roman Reigns that was out there in 2015 telling Big Show stories about a Jack and the Beanstalk.
Correct.
Like, this guy is in the middle of the most captivating storyline that we've seen in a number of years. And what did he do in 2022? I mean, yeah, he had the match with Brock at WrestleMania, and that was what it was. But then after that, we started the Bloodline story. So Roman Reigns is overrated. I mean, yeah, this is the objectivity, the bias. Like, is this award this is one of the key awards where you really see this award, like this award program for what it is.
I was kind of say before you get to number 2 and number 1, this is such strange voting. So Theory, a legit mid-carder who not many people, I think, overrate. I think someone who a bunch of people saying, oh, they need to be the top guy, push them to the moon, blah, 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 stuff like that. That's overrating someone, especially if their ability doesn't match generally. Austin Theory, no one was like, he's legit a mid-card guy, held the US title, and you saying A-Town down, that guy. And then CM Punk, who was praised by these people for a year, then all of a sudden he made some mean comments about the elite not being able to manage a target, and all of a sudden he's overrated. And Roman Reigns literally carried the WWE on his back with the Bloodline story in 2022. Makes sense. Kevin, who's number 2?
Tyrus. I mean, how did Tyrus not win this?
What?
How did Tyrus not win this? I mean, bro, this guy went from being like a talking head on Fox News to all of a sudden like the face of the NWA and being like just plastered all over social media. Like, yeah, look at this. Look at Tyrus having matches. Like, we're supposed to believe Tyrus is the guy that's going to carry the torch in the NWA. That's the same wrestling company that Ric Flair almost died in a plane crash, suffered a broken back almost 50 years ago for this business. For that company. Ric Flair nearly died. Have Tyrus running around in studio shows in Atlanta, Georgia, wrestling matches with God knows who, and then showing up on Fox News with the NWA Championship. Are you kidding me, bro? And this guy's second to Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey won this. For those of you asking, what did poor Ronda Rousey do? What did she do in 2022? She comes out every week, or not even every week. She shows up, what, 3-4 months out of the year? She shows up on Raw or SmackDown. That's a bad promo. Botches, everyone makes fun of her. And then she wins a match and then she leaves.
I know.
But you got this freaking guy posing as like a Fox News reporter. Oh, God.
Kevin.
The same company that Ric Flair nearly died for, pal. Ric Flair nearly died to have Tyrus. Oh my God! I bet Ric Flair's disgusted watching Tyrus run amok.
Kevin, the NWA for decades and decades was such a well-respected territory, such a well-respected company.
Tyrus.
It was a world championship that was held by some absolute all-time greats of professional wrestling. A belt that was so highly thought of in the annals of professional wrestling. And now, as you say, Tyrus, formerly Brodus Clay, the leader of the Funky Dactyls, who came out dancing and shimmying, dressed as dinosaurs with pom poms 10 years ago for Vince
This is
McMahon.
the guy that was telling people to call his mama.
Kevin,
and now we're supposed to believe he's a face of wrestling, like he's one of the cornerstones of the wrestling business.
Kevin, I've watched the segments on Fox News. This guy gets on with the NWA World title as though he's some lifelong experienced political analyst. He gets on and tries to come with a hot take about BLM or a hot take about abortions or a hot take on the Democrats and CNN. And he thinks he's edgy. And this is the face of NWA. Kevin, Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair, these legends, Harley Race, these legends fought for that championship. And now it's Tyrus on Fox News disrespecting X, Y, and Z politically.
Dusty Rhodes and Harley Race, Roddy Piper, they gave their life for this business and for the NWA just to watch it devolve into Brodus Clay sitting on Fox News holding that championship. For Billy Corgan, because Billy Corgan likes the publicity, pal. And that somehow is not the most overrated wrestler. But no, Ronda Rousey, she shows up 3 months out of the year, cuts a bad promo, everyone on the internet wishes her death threats, wishes that she'd never come back to wrestling, wishes that she'd quit. And she's most overrated for that, pal.
Who's rating her highly? Like, I get it, maybe in 2018.
She gets death threats. How is that overrating someone? She literally gets death threats anytime that her music hits. She hasn't even been booked in a WrestleMania match yet. Just a rumor that she and Shayna Baszler are going to take on Becky Lynch and Lita at WrestleMania. And people are sending her death threats over a rumor. But that's overrated.
Oh my god. That's awful. Yeah, no, Kevin, I get it if it's 2018 and this was Ronda Rousey when she was portrayed as like this absolute revolutionary figure who's the best in wrestling by far and better than anyone in WWE. I get maybe then that was like, being overrated by the company. Kevin, in 2022, yeah, she had a mediocre SmackDown Women's title run, which was like a skippable 5 to 10 minute block on SmackDown each week. She'd come out, she'd cut a mediocre promo, win, leave, and no one really cared. But she's more overrated than a 50-year-old Brodus Clay who is carrying around a championship and being the face of a company and a promotion. There's so much legacy and history to it as he goes on Fox News every second day trying to diss CNN and diss Joe Biden. Brilliant. Brilliant work, Wrestling Observer. What a great way to make your awards seem legitimate. Tyrus finishing Ronda Rousey, Kevin? Over Tyrus? What?
I'll say this again. Ronda Rousey receives death threats anytime she's on the screen. Who is overrating her?
Kevin, Ronda Rousey hardly even has Stan accounts. Like, I could name you 5 to 10 women's wrestlers who have far more fanfare than Ronda Rousey. And none of them overrated. These like literal mid-card women who don't get any TV time or aren't actually that good. They have heaps of stans who overrate them. They're not overrated, but Ronda Rousey, who, as you say, gets death threats because the WWE rumor a month out that she might be involved in an undercard women's tag title match, that Ronda Rousey is the most overrated, more than Tyrus? Are you kidding me?
And if you want to look at it like, okay, this is a wrestler that sucks, that's being pushed to the moon by a company, and like that's your definition of overrated?
Oh, Tyrus.
Yeah. Yeah, how does Ronda Rousey fit that mold? I mean, she was champion for a couple months, okay. Right, she had a WrestleMania match. Who did she beat at WrestleMania? Was it Charlotte?
Yeah, yes.
Charlotte? Yeah, she beat Charlotte. Wow. Everybody hates Charlotte, so everybody should have been clapping for Ronda Rousey. She buried Charlotte. Good. We didn't need another Charlotte reign. We got one, though. Nevertheless, people hated Ronda Rousey so much that Triple H was like, "Oh, I'm going to book Charlotte as champion again. That'll make him happy." That's what you do when you hate someone that much for no reason. We end up with Charlotte Flair as champion again.
Charlotte Flair is a face champion. That's how much people are disinterested in Ronda Rousey, but she's overrated, pal. With her 5 to 10 minute random middle of 40 minutes into SmackDown women's filler match stuff from 2022, that's most overrated. Kevin, this whole category is a mess. Ronda Rousey's the most overrated. Tyrus, number 2. Roman Reigns, 3. First, how's Roman effing Reigns is one spot behind Tyrus? Are you going? What? Right? Come on. And then number 4 is Phil Brooks, CM Punk, and number 5, Austin Theory. That is the most bipolar collection of 5 talents for an award you could possibly name. That is legit like a star of 5 where everyone's so different and on the other end of the spectrum to each other. What a ridiculous award, Kevin. It makes a joke of the whole thing.
Yeah, what would you, just for giggles here, like what would be your top 3 or top 5 most overrated? Or we could both just give out some names.
Some names. As far as who's the most overrated.
Yeah, in your opinion.
As in, okay, my honest opinion here.
Tyrus is a great pick.
Yeah, I'd put Tyrus 1 as far as what you define as overrated. He'd have to be 1 for everything we've just discussed. Number 2, oh god,
I would go Chris Jericho.
I'd have him in the top 3 to 5. Yeah, that is fair.
Yeah, Chris Jericho, I think, deserves a shout out. I mean, Austin Theory, I guess, is not bad. You know, if we're just going based off like, why are they pushing this guy? Like this guy is being pushed as like the next guy, and then you put the U.S. title on him. Like what?
I'm surprised Cody Rhodes wasn't mentioned in this because we know who's voting on it.
Right.
And he literally left AEW. I'm surprised he wasn't. Anyway, so interesting, Kevin. Do you want to move on, or do you want to keep discussing Tyrus?
Yeah, no. Let's please move on. Or I raised my blood pressure too high.
Well, Kevin, pick a category and we can break it down.
All right, let's. I need to take it personally to relax a little bit. I'm coughing a lot. So let's look at the worst television announcer.
Oh, Corey Graves.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's not a runaway like you would think. This is actually a very tightly contested award. Corey Graves barely beat Booker T. And Booker T's doing what, NXT now? He's the NXT 2.0 guy?
Yeah.
Like, who even watches that show to even vote on Booker T? And then Jim Ross is third. Like,
oh, of course.
Jim Ross was so bad on commentary last year that even Tony Khan had to pull him. And Tony Khan pulled him off TV, which it had to get really bad for Tony Khan to actually do something about it. Then Michael Cole, fourth, and then Kevin Patrick. Who's Kevin Patrick?
Kevin Patrick's. Hey, wait, and worst announcer? He's literally the.
Is he Booker's partner?
I think it shows how much we're in tune with this. Kevin Patrick, yeah, I think so.
Oh, he's the interview guy.
That guy. The one
Raw Talk.
The one who's a bit cringe. Okay.
Yeah. That's fair, I guess.
How's Michael Cole in the worst 5?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
This has been some of his best stuff. Like his commentary, especially with Bloodline stuff and main event stuff, it's genuinely quite good. But of course, that's in the worst 5, I guess. He's worse than Excalibur. He's worse than anyone who works in AEW. He's worse than any other WWE talents.
Except Jim Ross.
Yeah, that's just, wow.
Yeah, Jim Ross. I mean, the fact that Jim Ross was this high, that's shocking. I mean, it had to be bad. I don't really remember thinking, wow, Jim Ross is awful in commentary. But it had to be bad for 157 AEW diehard fans to vote him as the worst commentator.
That Michael Cole one, I wouldn't have pictured 3 years ago I'd be going to bat for Michael Cole, but that's just downright disrespectful. Yeah. Considering his body of work last year, with Pat McAfee especially, some genuinely really good wrestling commentary came from that. And Cole was a big part of that in the main wrestling storyline that's getting 2.5 million viewers a week. That boggles my mind.
Yeah, I would rather those 61 votes for Cole just go to Graves.
Correct.
Yeah, because Graves, I mean, good God. Jeez. That guy. That guy is
Kevin,
bad.
What's wrong with... I'm going to play devil's advocate here. What's wrong with him supporting his wife when she's on screen?
Oh, it's not just that. If you take that away, pretend like it doesn't even exist, it never happens, Corey Graves is still by far and away the worst commentator in wrestling.
Yes.
He's so unbearable. The corny jokes, he's like a PG, watered down version of Jerry Lawler that's not funny. And then he has like no foil to work with on Raw. I can't even think of who the Raw guys are now, and at this point, it's Wade Barrett, right? Wade Barrett's one. No, he's SmackDown.
No,
Way better SmackDown.
no, it's like Jimmy Smith, and maybe they might have Byron Saxton there, but maybe they don't.
No,
so
Saxton's
it's like,
gone.
okay, so it's literally Corey Graves, like Jimmy Smith, and if they want to put a third guy there, that's literally Raw.
That's Tom Phillips, pal.
Oh God. But yeah, no, like if pretending, yeah, like Carmella's gone, Corey Graves has nothing and never associated with Carmella. Let's pretend she's out of the picture. His commentary is just insufferable. This isn't he supports his wife, therefore we hate him. No, it's not. It's way more than that. The commentary for Carmella stuff's a bit cringe. Obviously, that's the point. But the general commentary, I can't watch Raw with sound on because of him. So he's clearly won. So.
Do you want to take a guess on the Wrestling Observer Newsletter 2022 worst match of the year?
Oh, Ric Flair's last match. There's no doubt about it. There shouldn't even be a discussion. He's faking a heart attack in front of loved ones to try and sell NWA pay-per-views. That's clearly the worst match.
Yeah, it's second, actually. According to the Wrestling Observer Newsletter readers, pal. Yeah, Ric Flair's last match was second.
Ric Flair, someone who's literally been pretty much banned from even attending AEW shows. He's literally on the blacklist for AEW. Him having a match where he fakes a heart attack in front of loved ones. They also featured Andrade, Jay Lethal, and Jeff Jarrett in an NWA house show. That wasn't the worst match.
Correct. Yeah. You want to hear the worst match?
Sorry, did Heroes of Wrestling happen last year? What was worse? What was worse than that?
Vince McMahon versus Pat McAfee from WrestleMania 38, Night 2. It didn't just win by a slim margin. It actually got triple the votes in comparison to Ric Flair's last match.
Kevin, I'm fact-checking. Was that some 30-minute bell-to-bell, like, long match that just would never end? It was a 3-minute, like, almost comedy skit.
Yeah, like, it wasn't even really, like, technically it was a real match, but I mean, it wasn't, like, a real match.
No.
Pat McAfee had his match.
Up, it was sold. They were trying to sell a pay-per-view with, come watch Ric Flair, a 73-year-old man, have a match in front of loved ones. That was built up. This was just an impromptu little skit that happened that went for 3 minutes.
A man that nearly died too, like 2 years prior in Ric Flair. Ric Flair was literally like on his deathbed, kicked out. And then here he is having a match at like 73 years old. And the people that booked this match, people that enabled this, are at fault too. They should all win. You should have Ric Flair's last match, the booker, the people that put it on pay-per-view. Oh, everybody bundled in.
That's horrendous. Like, Kevin, when I watched WrestleMania 38 Night 2, I didn't watch Mr. McMahon and Pat McAfee because, Kevin, we've got to keep in mind, the whole bit with that was Pat McAfee was Vince McMahon's guy. He was wrestling Theory. They have their like legitimate 10-minute match. And then Vince comes down afterwards and Pat McAfee sells a bit and kind of bumps around for a couple of Vince punches. And it's like a 2-3 minute, who really cares, squash kind of skit almost. And Austin just stunned Vince. That's all it was. Apparently that's worse than Ric Flair going down all fours, clutching his heart, screaming in agony in front of loved ones in a match that was built up to try and sell a pay-per-view. What a joke of an award. Are you kidding me? Really, Kevin?
Really? And even... If okay, we're gonna say, all right, a WWE match should have won this award. Just use that logic for a moment. The Men's Royal Rumble match was worse than Vince versus Pat McAfee.
Correct.
I mean, the Men's Royal Rumble match in 2022 was like a carbon copy of the 2019 Men's Royal Rumble match, except you had Brock win. You had a bigger star win the match instead of Seth Rollins winning it and becoming the man's man. But it was like the most predictable Royal Rumble match ever. Brock loses his WWE Championship earlier in the night. Like, he was already WWE Champion. And they did a unification match. So think about this. Brock went into the Royal Rumble as champion. We ended up getting a unification championship match between him and Roman. But Brock lost the belt, won the Royal Rumble, just to win the belt back. Or not win the belt back, but just to get another championship match. Where they could have just kept him champion. A unification match that way.
Didn't he literally win it the Elimination Chamber in Saudi Arabia when he just F5'd a bunch of people and squashed everyone, just won the title?
Oh yeah, he did. Right, that's right. So I forgot it was champion versus champion. So yeah, he lost the belt at the Royal Rumble, entered the Royal Rumble match, won it, just to win the WWE title again, and then go on and challenge Reigns in a unification match.
I'd put that Elimination Chamber match, which Brock won, as one of the worst 5 matches of the year. You watched, that was as bad as the Rumble. Granted, the Rumble went for like an hour, because obviously it's the Rumble, and that was poorly booked. I think the Rumble should have won. Actually, no, sorry. I think Ric Flair's last match is the clear winner. There's no debate. And then the Royal Rumble, and then I think, from my stance at least, the Elimination Chamber match, which Brock won. I was watching that, and it felt the same way as when Shayna Baszler won the Women's Elimination Chamber 3 years ago. You're watching it thinking, this is so awfully predictable. It's not fun. It's a bore, and Brock just won. Who cares? And the show ended. It was a crap match. But Kevin, I guess Vince McMahon had a 2-minute, I'm going to punch Pat McAfee and hit like 5 moves on him, and Steve Austin will be there. Therefore, that's the worst match of the year, because it's Vince, pal.
Yeah. Yeah, then our girl Ronda Rousey makes another appearance. Ronda Rousey versus Shotzi. That came in 3rd.
Oh, that was bad.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was bad, so that's fair.
Yeah.
The Royal Rumble came in 4th. And then our guy Tyrus. Matt Cardona versus Trevor Murdoch versus Tyrus.
Oh my God.
Was 5th. So just based on just reading that match out loud, I'm not going to argue that it made this list. Not going to argue.
So Matt Cardona, Trevor Murdoch, and a 50-year-old Tyrus.
Yep.
I can't believe. And wait, so can we do worst promotion now?
Yes, we can. I just want to say this. I want to reiterate this. Dusty Rhodes, Harley Race, and Roddy Piper died for the NWA to watch from their grave, to watch Tyrus defend the most prestigious, at one point, the most prestigious belt in the history of wrestling against Matt Cardona and Trevor Murdoch.
Well, that is no debate. Hands down, the worst promotion of 2022. I will not even hear an argument that there's anything else. Kevin, I would have made an argument that the CYN would be up there as well, but no debate. NWA is the worst wrestling promotion of 2022. I'm not even going to hear a discussion or an argument of anything else.
I would also argue GCW as well.
Oh, God.
I would argue that has to be, throw that one in the hat. I mean, that company just allowed Tony Khan. Oh my God. Tony Khan allowed his biggest star, all of you people that love this stuff, your wrestler of the year, Tony Khan allowed that man to wrestle a criminal in GCW in Nick Gage. That's the man that runs the competition, the biggest competition for WWE that we've seen since WCW. That man allowed his biggest star to go to GCW and wrestle Nick Gage, the guy that nearly got AEW thrown off of Turner and cost them a sponsorship for using a pizza cutter during a side-by-side with Domino's Pizza. The Domino's Pizza commercial. Tony Khan allowed his biggest star to wrestle that guy in GCW. That's like if Vince McMahon just allowed Steve Austin in 1998. It's just like, hey, go wrestle New Jack at an indie show.
Pal, imagine Triple H nowadays is like, hey, Roman, go wrestle Alberto Del Rio at a random show in Mexico. Like, what?
Yeah, go wrestle El Patron, pal.
Oh my God. Kevin, so for this category, so let's do the 5, 4, 3.
I forgot we were doing a category.
So yeah, this is for worst promotion. So just to clarify, before we get to the Wrestling Observer Awards and what they called it, the AW Observer Awards, let's get to our opinion. So worst, we're agreeing, is clearly no debate NWA.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't say no debate, but I would say NWA edges out GCW and CYN.
Yeah, I'd put CYN then GCW, but I can see why you'd alternate 2 and 3 with that. And then 4, I don't even know, maybe Impact. I saw that they had a match involving literally a 73-year-old getting beat up. It wasn't Ric Flair, it was a different one. A different old man getting beat up. There was that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I probably would Impact there, and then maybe, yeah, something like that. You know, like something like that. So Kevin, that's what we'd say. Let's roll it. What's number 5?
Number 5 is GCW.
Okay.
Again, Tony Khan allowed his biggest star to go to GCW to wrestle Nick Gage. So Tony Khan associates himself with a top 5 worst promotion, pal. I want to reiterate that for the great listeners. And then yeah, AAA came in 4th. You know, a company notorious for you know, for burying people, for burying young talent, but that's neither here nor there. Number 3, CYN. Hey! Matt Cardona, Adam Scherr, Ethan Page, their brainchild. And Braun Strowman literally just gave up. Like, what, 3 months into the company? He was like, yeah, I'm going back to WWE. Good luck, guys.
Yeah. This was Adam Scherr's aborted wrestling company. That was an objective top 3. Adam Scherr, whatever. Anyway, next. What's number 2? Number 2, Kevin, has to be, you know, well, we've already done GCW and we've already done CYN. So what can number 2 be? Because number 1's obviously NWA. So what's
number 2 is the Great National Wrestling Alliance.
What?
Yeah.
Hold on. Number 2. Wait.
Mm-hmm.
The company where Tyrus was the champion for most of the year, and they had a great world title program and series with Trevor Murdoch, Matt Cardona, and Tyrus, which disgraces the legacy of all the legends of wrestling.
Yeah.
Who fought and paved their way for that championship, that territory, that promotion.
Dusty Rhodes, Roddy Piper, and Harley Race died for that, pal.
So what's number 1? What could possibly be worse than that? You have to be a show where people were dying in the streets, a show with like a drug cartel on it, the criminals. It had to be something so great than that.
We already had criminals with GCW, pal.
Yeah, criminals is 5th. So like, what can possibly be worse than the NWA last year?
Yeah, number 1 was none other than WWA, pal.
Wait, you didn't misspeak. You didn't misspeak, did you? WWE was worse than NWA, CYN, and GCW.
Yeah, the WWA, pal.
Do I even need to explain that to the viewers? Does that deserve words?
Hey, pal. If you want to give it words.
Yeah, I know. Just the company with literally the best talent in the world, with Roman Reigns, with Brock Lesnar, the company that almost tripled their best earnings ever, the company that's making billions of profit, the company that appeals to the world over, no criminals, no literal drug busts, no cartels, there weren't wrestlers dying in the ring, there weren't wrestlers faking heart attacks for loved ones at ringside and celebrating that as a pay-per-view main event. None of it. Just the biggest stars.
We did have criminal activity with the CEO and chairman.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair.
Can't even laugh. Oh my god.
But nonetheless, I mean, come on. You can't rattle off what the NWA did in 2022 and like analyze that and say WWE's worse because Vince McMahon has a shady record as an owner. So does most wrestling owners, and so does most billionaires. So I don't know. That's egregious. That is WWE is worse than those companies with literal criminals. Tyrus, I can't, Kevin.
Wow. Wow. All right. Well, where do we go from here, pal?
Let's do a couple of ones that are pretty kind of like straightforward and aren't that interesting, just to kind of cool down a bit. Then we can ramp it up again sometime.
Yeah, let's do best gimmick. Yeah. So Sami Zayn won best gimmick in a landslide, which was a welcome surprise. I was not expecting that. I was expecting maybe like Daniel Bryan to win best gimmick or something.
Daniel Bryan's gimmick of I wrestle.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a
Yeah.
technical wrestler, pal. That's what I do. Yeah, I
Wheeler
figured that would win.
Yuta, I'm going to wrestle you on Rampage for these fans.
There you go. I mean, that's a great gimmick if I ever seen one, pal. Yeah, I mean, for that award, it was the Acclaim came in second. Dan Husen, Roman Reigns with that bloodline, and Orange Cassidy. That rounds out your Wrestling Observer Newsletter 2022 Best Gimmick. Let's see. Let me
I
try to
guess, yeah.
find. Here's
I
a
guess
WWE award, pal.
yeah, go on.
Sorry, go ahead. You were saying?
I was gonna say, I guess Dan Husen's just that much better a gimmick and a performer than Roman Reigns in the Bloodline. I guess, sure. Next,
Yeah, of
move
course.
on. Obviously.
I mean, it's not even a question. What?
Yeah. Okay. Well. Okay. Now. Yeah, we just accepted that just blatant, clear reality, pal. I guess. Yeah. Dan Husen. Yeah. Okay. Next. Move on.
Yeah,
Move on.
we've beaten you down here, pal. We've beaten you down with these awards.
I can't
You just
believe
have to
the
follow the
NWA.
line.
The NWA and Tyrus, the guy who goes on Fox News ranting about CNN as the world champion that Harley Race literally died for, that is worse than WWE somehow. I can't believe that. Because
WWE's
Vince
worse than
McMahon
that,
15
even.
years ago paid off with some hush money. Therefore, 2022 was just carry on. I can't carry on.
Yeah, so here's the WWE award 2022 Worst Feud of the Year. There's only one non WWE selection represented in this category. Number one, my old buddy, The Miz versus Dexter Lumis. Worst feud of the year. I'm not going to argue that. I think they got it right. Bravo. Bravo. Yeah, the number two, Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan. Sure. Why do we hate Ronda Rousey so much? I don't get it. But whatever. Bray Wyatt versus LA Knight. I thought this feud was, I guess it was mostly 2022. They blew it off at the Royal Rumble in the Pitch Black match. But sure, yeah, you want to put Bray Wyatt in there. Bray Wyatt's a staple of these awards anyway.
This wasn't even. Sorry. Just before you go on, I just want to discuss that. The part of this storyline that took place in November and December, so while in 2022, that wasn't even bad by and large. It was LA Knight cutting entertaining promos, Bray Wyatt doing his. That wasn't even.
No, you're not allowed to be entertaining, pal. You have to be like Daniel Bryan.
Sorry, yeah, Bray Wyatt wasn't having a 11-minute great match against a literal nobody from the Indies. Therefore, I guess Bray Wyatt's just automatically going to be top three. Whatever.
Daniel Bryan didn't tell he didn't tell LA Knight that he'll wrestle him for these fans. So yeah, it's not good enough. Number four, AEW's own Sammy Guevara versus Scorpio Sky. I mean, you could have put anything for Sammy Guevara on this list. Yeah. Pretty deserving.
It's bad when they're putting an AEW thing and the worst of anything. You know, objectively speaking, it was probably the worst of the year. If an AEW centered awards is putting it there,
man, not worse than Miz and Loomis.
No, I no, that was some of the worst stuff I've seen in 5 years.
Imagine if Dexter Loomis would have came out as like Maurice's baby father.
They should have done that, pal. I don't know. Who was five? Who was five?
Braun Breaker versus Joe Gacy.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean that was bad. But yeah, anything else that you feel like got snubbed this category? Any AEW, like maybe AEW feuds?
I didn't watch Dynamite enough because they made me tune out because how boring their show was at points. But I'm sure there was some stuff that happened in AEW or WWE that was worse than some of those. I don't.
That's that jumps to the top of the brain, though.
I know, nothing. Clearly, I've just either suppressed it or it wasn't even notable enough for me to even watch to begin with. So, yeah, we'll leave that at that. We'll move on to another category.
Hey, pal, let's do worst gimmick. This is another WWE award.
Worst gimmick, you said?
Yep, worst gimmick.
Okay.
Yeah, WWE ran away. We had one AEW representation, which was Kip Sabian. So I guess I don't even know what his gimmick is. Was he doing the gimmick where he like had a brown paper bag? Like pretty much his gimmick was that he was Delonte West. He'd just be outside like begging for fans to take pictures with him.
Oh my God. I guess.
Or yeah. I don't know. I don't care. I mean, it must have been bad. If it made this list, it was third. That must have been real bad.
Yep.
Uncle Howdy, number 2. Sure.
Okay.
Maximum Male Models, number 1. I mean, I'm not going to argue with it.
Yep.
Yeah, Maximum Male Models is pretty bad. Joe Gacy was 4th, and then good old Bray Wyatt, number 5. I thought Bray Wyatt would have been higher, actually.
So technically Bray Wyatt's in there twice, because Uncle Howdy's basically just a Bray Wyatt thing. So Bray Wyatt was mentioned twice in that.
Right.
Really.
Yeah. But the actual character Bray Wyatt, I thought would have got more votes. And he was he was only here for 4 months out of the year. And Bray Wyatt has 2 representations.
Yeah, he was on for 3.5 months. The first month, everyone loved him, talking about how great his promos were. He was being authentic, talking about overcoming depression. And then he had a couple of good segments against LA Knight. Oh my god! Is there any chance to shoehorn him in these awards?
Yeah, the Wrestling Observer readers don't like, I guess, mental health awareness or something, pal.
No, they can't stand mental health. That's why they'll spam you death threats if you say Daniel Bryan should retire for his own health. Because they're all about mental health and supporting everyone, so when I look out for wrestlers' well-being, send me hate and death. Idiocy. Anyway.
That is phenomenal. Promoter of the Year, Tony Khan.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
Tony Khan, number 1. Dana White, 2. The UFC guy, Dana White. The guy that slapped his wife on camera. Violently. That is the second best promoter.
Right, sorry. So before you go, so the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards, the Pro Wrestling Awards.
Yes.
The guy who finished 2nd in Promoter of the Year wasn't Paul Levesque, the guy who took over 6 months in, and no pay-per-view from there on out was anywhere close to bad. It was all compelling, good pay-per-views, consistent storytelling, good stuff. That guy, Paul Levesque, wasn't 2nd.
Right.
It was Dana White, who's most notorious in 2022 for hitting his wife.
Yeah, and anybody, since this is like a legitimate journalism site, anybody that knows anything about the UFC knows that Dana White isn't pulling the strings over there anymore. He's literally just the guy that does the media, the PR stuff. He doesn't have any control over fights. He doesn't book shows. He doesn't do any of that. And it books itself. It literally, their thing is, okay, here's UFC 285 is in May. UFC 286 is in June. UFC 287 is in July. And again, it's the Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. I mean, Dana White. I mean, hey, pal, he's got a pretty good shoot slap, you know. So he'd fit in New Japan.
Allegedly.
It was on camera. It was literally on camera. You can watch it. We can watch that in our worst of stream. We could watch Dana White violently smack his wife if we wanted to.
Oh no. But pal, that's better than Paul Levesque, pal. Paul Levesque taking over and writing legitimately good, consistent wrestling for 6 months with some of the biggest stars in the world, featuring the Bloodline storyline, some just objectively great stuff. That's not as good as Dana White, who literally barely has any roles or responsibilities. He barely pulls any strings in UFC anymore. He's just a face of publicity, and that publicity, 90% was him hitting his wife. Correct. That guy is above Paul Levesque.
Okay, and so is Rossi Ogawa. He is also better than Paul Levesque. He came in 3rd.
Okay. And he's which promotion again?
I think he's New Japan. Let me see. Rossi
or New Japan?
Ogawa. He is Booker of... Alright, Gato is the Booker of Japan. Yeah, Gato didn't make this list. Paul Levesque came in 4th, and Nick Khan came in 5th.
Nick Khan came in 5th. Wow. How kind of the voters. Wow.
Any guesses on who won Best Booker?
Alright, can I just speculate? I think the only reason Nick Khan came in 5th was because fans only saw Khan and thought it was Tony, so they clicked on his name. And voted
Maybe. That's possible.
That's probably what happened. But anyway, so yeah, that's nice. So Dana White gets 2nd for literally doing nothing besides slapping someone, and Paul Levesque. Okay, next.
Best Booker.
Best Booker. So what constitutes Best Booker? So are we talking about best matches they've booked, or are we talking about the stories, or?
Yeah, I guess best matches, best storylines. Yeah, because I guess Promoter of the Year would be best pay-per-view, like best garnering interest, right, and giving the fans. I don't know. Yes, giving the fans what they want.
I'd say Paul Levesque is generally the best promoter in wrestling to me, but Booker, based on who's look, I know Tony Khan won. I'm not going to play the fool here. I know Tony Khan won here. I'm not going to complain. It is what it is. I think if Tony Khan's your best booker or promoter in wrestling, wrestling's in trouble. That's the only way I'd have to put this. But yeah, Kevin, who was the top 5 of this? Walk us through that.
Yeah, so number 5 is Sean Shelby and Nick Maynard.
Who?
Yeah, Sean Shelby. Who is that? I think he's the UFC.
Is that the guy down the road at IKEA?
Oh, he's the UFC guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Sean Shelby. They're the guys that actually do the work.
Okay, fair enough. Don't punch me, please. Like, don't lock me in a Kimura.
Yeah, Dana White's coming to slap you, pal.
Yep.
Gato from New Japan came in 4th.
Okay.
Good old Paul Levesque, 3rd.
Hey.
Yeah, there he is. And then Rossi Ogawa. He almost beat Tony Khan. Close. Tony Khan won narrowly by about like 45 votes.
Just Stardom's got a fan base, eh? Yeah.
More power to him. I mean, they gave us Asuka and some other good stars, so hats off to them. They must be doing something right. I couldn't tell you how to watch Stardom. Could you know how to watch Stardom, pal?
You just get your credit card and you put in the details, and a Japanese company takes it.
I mean, you're pretty close to Japan. You're on the land down under, pal. You're in the same time zone. Like, I imagine, that's prime time viewing for you, pal. At 8 p.m. your time, you're not watching Stardom. You're not watching Rossi Ogawa's product, pal.
Kevin, I'm not getting home from work thinking, oh my god, 2 hours from now, Stardom's on. Get the popcorn, get the chips. Rossi Ogawa's cooking up a great banger tonight.
Gotta go to KFC, pal. Get some chicken.
Yeah, get some chicken. Get a zinger box. Get a large chips. Get a drink. Rossi Ogawa's cooking up some heat tonight, baby. Like, no, I'm not. Whatever. Anyway, so that's that. Any other categories? Anything else you want to go through?
I think listening to your order at KFC is more intriguing than some of these awards, pal.
Yeah, I can imagine. Some of these, but also I know one award, Kevin. You'll never guess this. The Bryan Danielson Award. Guess who won that?
I don't know. I mean, Nikita Lyons, pretty good in-ring technician.
Yeah.
Mandy Rose was probably the front runner until she got just outed out the door. Maybe Cora Jade.
Potentially maybe Wyndham.
Bianca Belair. She is great. She's up there with 09 Bryan Danielson in terms of in-ring prowess right now.
Kevin, how did Wyndham not win the Bryan Danielson Award for Best Technical Wrestler? I mean, come on.
Wyndham.
No, so the Bryan Danielson won his own award, of course.
Sabre Jr. was probably second.
Probably, yeah, he was second. And the closest, like the third place in the voting was like 15 times less votes than number 2. It was a weird category, but
Daniel Garcia was third.
Kevin Garcia was third.
No, Daniel Garcia.
Oh, at least said Kevin Garcia. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, that's me, pal. Yeah, Sierra was 4th and Josh Alexander 5th. I got a good one for you, pal. Got a good one. You ready for the 2022 most disgusting promotional tactic?
Oh my lord! Oh, this will be good. This will be good, pal. Okay, most disgusting promotional tactic. Okay, so Ric Flair's last match.
Oh. Let's go in ascending order, pal. I mean, you would think it's Ric Flair's last match.
Sorry. The fact that you didn't... You're telling me Ric Flair's last match wasn't the most disgusting promotional tactic?
No, it is not. But, I mean, it did make the list, but it was not number 1.
I'd hope it would make the list. Wow. So something was a worse promotional tactic. Okay, carry on.
Yeah, so AEW had one entry.
Oh,
naturally, really? When I say that, you probably think, oh, the EVPs, the bosses of a wrestler beating up one of their employees, that would probably make the list.
Correct.
While there's a man's wife in the locker room and, a man's dog, you got these EVPs, again, people that are in charge, busting down, literally kicking down a locker room door of their own employee's locker room. That you would think that would make the list, but no.
Yeah, Kevin, management of a company allegedly performing assault and battery on a employee.
Right. Well, while there's a woman there in the room.
And a dog and someone who's
a
injured.
woman who's not a wrestler. Keep in mind. Just throw that
That's
out there.
obviously that's yeah, that should be top 2 along with Ric Flair.
Yeah, you would think. Yeah, you would think. But no, it's number 5 is AEW not punishing CM Punk after the Adam Page call out. Yeah, yeah. Disgusting, right?
After the is in the Adam is it after the media scrum or after the promo in May?
I'm guessing the promo when he came back from being injured the first time, and when he came back and like he was feuding with Adam Page and he cut this like off the script promo. That's the only thing I could think of.
AEW not punishing. AEW celebrates breaking the fourth wall shoot promos. That like what?
And keep in mind, Hangman Page broke the fourth wall first and shot on CM Punk, and
So how's that CM Punk's for what?
CM Punk just retaliated. But again, the EVPs, the bosses of the company, punching one of their employees didn't make the list. But you know what did though, pal?
Oh, this would be good.
Stephanie McMahon's goodbye to Vince McMahon came in number 4.
How is that a promotional tactic? Wait. Did they do? Wait, they just. So I assume Kevin. 2022. I tuned out a little bit. I wasn't watching every episode of Raw or SmackDown. Did they do a segment and build an angle on Stephanie McMahon saying goodbye to Vince? What?
Not that I remember, but that's what it seems to be is implied here. Maybe she did. I think she did a tweet. I think she sent a tweet and was like, "Oh yeah, love you, Dad."
That's literally Kevin. They did in 2001. There was literally a storyline with Vince McMahon making Trish bark like a dog, and they used that to promote WrestleMania. And now Stephanie tweeting, thanking her dad for being her dad is a disgusting promotional tactic. Apparently, what?
Yes.
I watched WrestleMania 17 2 days ago. I was literally seeing Vince McMahon screaming in Trish's face as he's making his sedated wife stare as he abuses his own children. What is this? But Kevin, Stephanie McMahon, what was the exact wording of the number 4?
Stephanie McMahon's goodbye to Vince McMahon.
Kevin, you think they use that as the main storyline for WrestleMania to get millions of viewers and get a live gate going? Like, I don't even remember that happening. Like, how's that a promotional tactic? What?
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay. Nevertheless, number 3 is Ric Flair's last match.
Sorry, don't I need to get my ears checked. You said number 3?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm assuming number 1 was like a live assassination attempt in the middle of a wrestling show to get ratings. I'm assuming number 1 was literally like an assault and battery happened on screen for the sake of ratings. I assume someone beat up their own child for views. Something like that, I would assume, would be number above that because, Kevin, Ric Flair faking a heart attack in front of loved ones to try and promote a dying company. That's the worst thing. That's the worst promotional tactic. That is a legitimate promotional tactic as well. Number 4 with Stephanie is not a promotional tactic. That's just something that sort of happened with a family. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah, number 2 is WWE's Saudi Arabia relationship. I mean, that's a shoo-in to finish top 3 for the next however long, 10 years until that deal is up.
Yeah.
And then number 1. I mean, it's hard to argue. It's hard to argue this being number 1.
Mm-hmm.
Vince McMahon appearing on TV after sexual misconduct allegations. Now, it's hard to argue.
I can't believe they did that.
It's hard to argue with this one.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah, there's just all this news, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post is writing these just tell-all articles about Vince McMahon paying off paralegals, paying off Christy Hemme, the fact that he fired women that didn't want to have sex with him. And then they're just like, WWE's like, all right, Vince McMahon is appearing on SmackDown.
Kevin, there are these scathing articles. There are blistering allegations being laid against Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And WWE, I remember that. They were like, Vince McMahon up next, opening the show.
Yeah, and then he comes out, and he's just like, all right, welcome to SmackDown, pal.
Yeah, there was no point to it. It was just, okay, that is fair. That's, to be fair, that's kind of like, oh my God, that's the most Vince thing you'll ever hear, though. That's wow.
It's ridiculous that the AEW EVP is punching out an employee while a defenseless woman is in the locker room. how that doesn't make this list is ridiculous. And again, it just it's an insult to the credibility. It shows you what kind of award this is, what kind of just awards and presentation that they have going on here at the One Awards.
Yeah, literally, you've got blatant, egregious misuse and abuse of power from management in a workplace, beating up, assaulting, and battering an employee in front of a defenseless, non-wrestler woman, a dog, someone who's injured. That happens to generate buzz for AEW, and as the fallout for All Out, that happens. That's not even mentioned. But Stephanie McMahon tweeting, acknowledging her father, who literally made wrestling what it is today. That's top 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do the worst major wrestling show. Yeah. So number 5 for worst wrestling. No, actually, what do you think is the worst major wrestling show? Let me ask you that.
Worst major wrestling show?
Yeah.
I mean, are we basing this off ratings? Because in that case, it's Impact or Rampage.
No, like the singular wrestling event.
Oh, as in like a worst pay-per-view.
Yeah. Yeah, whereas major event is they
I mean, in objective fairness, I can't think of anything worse than the Royal Rumble from last year.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's number 1. Yeah. Number 1 by a pretty good margin. Coming in a distant number 2 was the Elimination Chamber. All right, here we're going to have a little fun, pal. Number 3 is GCW The World. I got 112 votes. This was narrowly third. Only 17 less votes in the Elimination Chamber. I'm going to read the card for GCW The World 2022.
Oh, this is good. This will be good, pal. Okay, let's go. Hit me.
All right, so they had, I guess, let me see, make sure these. Yep, these are 2 pre-show or dark matches. It was a EABST Blue Ribbon Kickoff Battle Royal. That is okay. So that's a beer company that sponsored this. Okay. Big Vin won by last eliminating Charles Mason in this pre-show Battle Royal.
Hell yeah.
And then we had the same beer company sponsored a scramble match for a kickoff. This was Grim Reefer, not Reaper, Reefer like marijuana. Grim Reefer defeated Alex Zane, Dante Leon, Shane Mercer, Jack Cartwheel, and Ninja Mac.
Get the popcorn, get the beers.
And Ninja Mac is on the show, pal. Yeah, you gotta get the chicken. Going to KFC, gonna get me some chicken strips. Gotta watch Ninja Mac, pal.
Get some chicken tenders, get some pieces of hot and crispy original recipe. Hell yeah! What? Oh, Kevin, get your mates around. Get the kangaroos. Get the dingoes. Sim around the TV. Turn on a bit of GCW, the World, pal. The Max in action.
Yeah, gotta watch Jack Cartwheel while I listen to Post Malone, pal, with my boys.
Oh yeah.
All right, so then the main card. This is a grab the brass ring ladder match. So they're using an old Vinceism, pal. AJ Gray defeated PCO, which is PCO is the guy that wrestled in the 80s, I think. Yeah, that's Carl Ole. Quebecers. That's what he was. Quebecers. Yeah, got a 57-year-old PCO out there, pal. Alex Colon, G Raver, Tony Deppen, Jimmy Lloyd, and Jordan Oliver. Yeah.
Wow.
And then the next match was a trios match. Team Gringo versus Team Bandito.
Nice.
Then we had Blake Christian versus Leo Rush. I thought Leo Rush retired, but nevertheless. Now here's a riveting one, pal. This is the 6th match of the night, smack dab in the middle of the card. Matt Cardona with Chelsea Green versus Joey Janela.
Wow. Oh.
Yeah, right?
Oh.
And then we have a 4-on-2 handicap match. Vance Warner and Matthew Justice versus 44OH. So that is a 4-man team consisting of Atticus Cogar, Eddie Only, Gregory Iron, and Bobby Beverly.
Okay, how is this worse than the Royal Rumble? I'm sorry. Like what am I listening to? Like,
It just gets worse, pal.
this sucks. Like, I'm sorry, but carry on.
Yeah, it does suck. Then we had Ruby Soho versus Ali Ketch. And then Jeff Jarrett versus
Wait,
Effie.
so Ruby, sorry, that's Ruby Riott, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
She went from wrestling in front of the millions in WWE, getting, you know, she was at WrestleMania and all this, and now she's wrestling in literally this just trash.
And she's in the women's title match this Sunday at Revolution.
That's nice.
Yeah. Then we have Jeff Jarrett versus Effie. Oh yeah, you go. Jeff Jarrett, pal, is in a top tier match.
Wow.
Yeah. Then we have the GCW champion Jon Moxley versus Homicide.
Okay.
And then last but not least, in the main event, Matt Tremont and Nick Cage versus the Briscoe brothers. That's probably the only match on the show that would probably be worth watching. That main event.
Yeah.
I think I need to see Jon Moxley versus Homicide. I could probably tell you exactly how the match went.
Let me guess, there was bleeding involved?
Probably, yeah.
Bit of cheeky blade action, maybe a bit of pizza cutter action?
Maybe, yeah. So yeah, so that is your third worst match of the year.
Pay-per-view, wow.
Or pay-per-view of the year, sorry. Yeah, then Ric Flair's last match came in fourth with 98 votes.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Kevin, you sort of lost me when you were reading through that. Like you simply reading that card, I don't know how our listeners felt there, but I'm listening to that going, the thought of even sitting down to watch that for 3-4 hours makes me upset, let alone having watched that. So, yeah, nice.
There you go, pal. And then coming in last, or fifth, I should say, for worst major wrestling show is NWA Hard Times 3.
They're naming pay-per-views after Dusty Rhodes promos, and their promotion's being led by Tyrus. What a joke.
Yeah, that featured the match that we spoke about earlier, the triple threat match. Tyrus with Black Jesus, or Black G's. Tyrus with Black G's in his corner versus Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona.
Tyrus with Black Jesus. Oh my god.
Roddy Piper, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes literally died. Had this pay-per-view named after him. Dusty Rhodes is rolling in his grave at the idea that a Hard Times pay-per-view in the NWA is headlined by Tyrus with Black G's in his corner versus Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona. Literally, Dusty Rhodes is rolling over. Cody Rhodes could probably attest to this. One day, when I become a legitimate journalist, I'm going to ask Cody Rhodes how his father would feel about a pay-per-view being named after his famous catchphrase being headlined by Tyrus and Black G's.
Kevin, the only hard times in that show is every viewer who had to watch it. That's hard times for them.
Wow, there was 4 pre-show matches.
You'd think this was like WrestleMania in its absolute prime. Like, what is this? Pal, your main event is Tyrus with Black Jesus against Trevor Murdoch, who's like 54, and Matt Cardona, who's famous for having a hot wife. Like, what is this?
Yeah, this match is gonna kill me, pal.
Oh my god. We nearly killed Kevin Garcia.
Do you want to hear just like a couple matches on the card? It's a 16-match card, so I won't read them all. But
oh my god!
I'll give you a few.
Kevin, just only pick out the most the ones that sound most egregious.
Yeah, here's a good one. Max the Impaler with Father James Mitchell in his corner versus Natalia Markova in a Voodoo Queen casket match.
Sorry, can you just please repeat that? A Voodoo Queen casket match.
Yes, Max the Impaler with Father James Mitchell in his corner versus Natalia Markova in a Voodoo Queen casket match. I don't even want to make any assumptions. I don't know who Max. I know Natalia Markova. I've heard of her, but I don't know who Max the Impaler is. I don't want to make any assumptions based on the name of that match. So, yeah, I'll just move on. Let's see. Here's another good one here. Yeah, this is what Dusty Rhodes died for. right here, pal, is the Fixers, Jay Bradley and Wrecking Ball Legursky.
Oh my
versus the Spectaculars, Brady Pierce and Rush Freeman, with Ronaldo Freeman in their corner.
Kevin, I want to tie this back full circle to why we're doing this whole show. This is why we're doing this is about objectivity. Why we're doing this is about pointing things out and being fair and
I hit it.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Kevin, we're doing this for objectivity, and listening to what you're reciting to me in these last about 5 to 7 minutes, I'm in my jaw's on the floor. I can't believe what I'm hearing. and stuff like this isn't the worst. WWE is the worst because it's WWE, which that is disgraceful. There's no objectivity in that. Oh, WWE had a pay-per-view where, I mean, there was a good Roman Reigns match against Seth Rollins on it, and then there was a Rumble match that was a bit kind of dry, and then there was a decent Women's Rumble. That sucks, yes. But, the show with Tyrus and Black Jesus and a voodoo girl match and all this, like all these random GCW and NWA hard times in the world and all these like indie mud shows with trash like Tyrus with Black Jesus versus Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona headlining. That's fine. Put that below the WWE thing because it's WWE. Because Vince McMahon was associated. Therefore, playing for Seth Rollins, that great storyline about the Shield and that match, that was the worst. Tyrus with Black Jesus, that was great. Why don't you put that third or fifth? What is this now?
Oh. Well, on that note, I guess we'll get out of here on that one.
We can call it there. Kevin, I've heard enough. You reading those like cards. If someone can honestly listen to that and tell me a show which had Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins for the Universal title with an awesome Shield storyline, a show that had that, a show that was by and large decent, some good superstars on it. I mean, Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton returned in his hometown. I mean, Bad Bunny made an appearance. There was a Women's Royal Rumble that was all right, some decent stars, decent returns. All round, a solid pay-per-view outside of really the main event, generally the Rumble. That show sucked as a Royal Rumble in front of 50,000 people because Vince McMahon wrote it. Let's celebrate and endorse GCW's worst show of the year or NWA's Hard Times show with Tyrus and Black Jesus versus Trevor Murdoch and Matt Cardona. End it there. I'm done.
I'll leave you guys with this. Here's another match that took place at NWA Hard Times 3. Dusty Rhodes died for this, pal. The question mark 2 versus the question mark in a mask versus mask match, pal. So yeah, with that, thank you all for listening. If you want to torture yourself, or if you want to go to sleep early and you're having a hard time going to bed, put on Hard Times 3 or put on GCW The World. There you go.
No wonder Cody Rhodes left AEW. The fact that he was associated with a promotion whose fans and diehard followers endorse that and say that Hard Times show, there's a disgrace to the legacy of his father. That show wasn't as bad as WWE just because it's WWE. Good on Cody Rhodes. Main event WrestleMania. Who cares what lies Brian Alvarez will spread about him on his podcast? Like, Sami Zayn is more over and should be added to the match. Forget that. Cody Rhodes is putting his foot in the ground and not standing for these atrocious awards. Kevin, what we've just gone through for an hour and a half, I know we're trying to end it there. I have to go off one more time on these awards. What we've just gone through for an hour and a half is some of the most biased, egregious, blatantly incorrect stuff I've heard. Some of these awards are legitimate and fair, 100%. Some of them are a downright disgrace to the industry, especially some of this stuff with Tyrus, the NWA, and what we just yelled about. So, yeah, we'll end it there. Let's end it there. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hopefully you enjoyed. Follow us on whatever platform you're listening to this. If you haven't already, leave a like, leave a rating, all that kind of good stuff. Big shows coming off WrestleMania season. We got through this one. This one I thought would end Kevin because he's got the cough at the moment. I thought we'd kill Kevin on this show. And I thought I'd pass out from yelling. So we didn't do either, but yeah, we tried our best to entertain, pal.
And I'll say this, I'll make an executive decision here. If this episode of the podcast gets 40 likes, Jimmy and I will watch either NWA Hard Times or GCW The World, pal. We'll do a watch along.
Don't leave likes. Don't leave likes if you're listening to this. Do not leave a like on this.
We'll
please.
do a watch along of one of those shows for this business, pal. Everybody's going to get your illegal streams fired up, and we're going to watch NWA Hard Times 3 if this video gets 40 likes.
Okay. I'm done.
Hey, peace, everyone.